The Naked Gun film series once had millions doubled over in laughter with its sharp wit and unforgettable characters. Yet behind the bright lights and uproarious humor lay quiet tragedies, hidden sorrows that rarely surfaced before the public eye. Lesie Nielsen, the iconic face of the franchise, became synonymous with comedic brilliance, but not all of his talented co-stars shared in that lasting spotlight or its peace. Many of the actors who helped breathe life into Naked Gun to their charm and unique personalities face years after fame filled with heartbreak and struggle. Some were lost to sudden, cruel accidents. Others fought bravely against illnesses that slowly stole their strength. Still others were quietly consumed by inner demons and personal battles far removed from the laughter they inspired on screen. The lives of the actors who once lit up the screen in Naked Gun form a bittersweet symphony, one composed of triumph and tragedy, of roaring laughter and silent tears. Join us as we turn back the pages of these memories, to remember, to empathize, and to cherish the fleeting, yet deeply meaningful moments they brought to life in every frame. Lesie Nielsen, 1926 to 2010. In the Naked Gun trilogy, Lesie Nielsen immortalized a bumbling but endearing Lieutenant Frank Drebin, a character defined by deadpan delivery, absurd situations, and impeccable comedic timing. Appearing in all three films, The Naked Gun, From the Files of Police Squad, 1988, The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, 1991, and Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult, 1994, Nielsen reinvented himself as a comedic genius late in life, after decades of serious roles in drama and action. Off-screen, however, his journey was marked by both perseverance and solitude. Born to a Mountain father and a mother of Welsh heritage, Nielsen grew up in Canadian wilderness, hard of hearing since childhood, which required him to wear hearing aids throughout his life. He was married 4 times and had 2 daughters, Maura and Thea, but the stability he often portrayed on screen eluded him in personal relationships. In his final days, he suffered from complications of pneumonia and died in his sleep, far from the chaos of slapstick, in quiet repose. The laughter he gave the world stood in sharp contrast to the silent decline of his last moments, a tragic reminder how even the brightest jesters are not spared by time. Priscilla Presley, born 1945, a woman cast into the public eye long before she chose to be, Priscilla Presley brought grace and subtle comedic timing to the role of Jane Spencer, Lieutenant Drebin's sharp-witted love interest, in all 3 Naked Gun films. Her performance offered a balance of elegance and earnest absurdity that enriched the chaotic humor around her. But Priscilla's real life has been a drama far removed from parody. As a former wife of Elvis Presley, she endured the complexities of fame and the heavy shadow cast by an icon. Her early life was steeped in strict discipline, raised by a military stepfather, and she later had to navigate widowhood at just 27. She bore 1 child, Lisa Marie Presley, whose own life and tragic death in 2023 at age 54 compounded Priscilla's sorrow in ways words can barely hold. In recent years, Priscilla has faced not only the grief of losing her daughter, but also legal battles surrounding Lisa Marie's estate, particularly involving her granddaughter Riley Keough. Now in her 80s, Priscilla lives with the weight of generations lost too soon. Though she still makes occasional public appearances, there is a haunted dignity in her presence, one that hints at wounds that never healed, only settled into silence. Ricardo Montalban, 1920 to 2009. In The Naked Gun, From the Files of Police Squad, 1988. Ricardo Montalban portrayed Vincent Ludwig, the suave and sinister villain whose elaborate plot to assassinate the Queen of England is comically thwarted by the bumbling Lieutenant Frank Drebin. With his unmistakable charm and sophistication, Montalban brought gravitas to a parody role, subtly balancing menace and absurdity. His performance stood out in a film filled with slapstick chaos, lending an air of classic Hollywood villainy. Ricardo Montalban was born in Mexico City and rose to stardom as a leading man in both Mexican cinema and Hollywood. He became a household name playing Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island and Khan Noonien Singh in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, a role he reprised in the original Star Trek series. Montalban was married to Georgiana Young, half-sister Loretta Young, and they had 4 children. He endured severe back problems throughout much of his later life, the result of a spinal injury sustained in the 1950s while filming. These chronic pains often confined him to a wheelchair in his final years, yet he continued to advocate for Latino representation in Hollywood to the Montalban Foundation. His death in 2009 at the age of 88 from congestive heart failure marked the end of a resilient, dignified life, spent overcoming both physical adversity and industry typecasting. George Kennedy, 1925 to 2016. In a more grounded and affable tone, George Kennedy played Captain Ed Hocken in all three Naked Gun films, 1988, 1991, 1994, serving as a loyal and often bewildered superior to Lesie Nielsen's Frank Drebin. Kennedy's straight-faced delivery of ludicrous lines and his grounding presence amid slapstick madness helped anchor the absurd humor. Already a veteran of serious cinema, Kennedy's seamless dive into comedy surprised audiences and added rich texture to the parody's cast. George Kennedy's career spanned over 5 decades, with a remarkable range that earned him an Academy Award for Cool Hand Luke, 1967. Raised in New York City, he was the son of a ballet dancer and musician. After serving in the U.S. Army for over a decade, Kennedy transitioned into acting, building a reputation in tough guy roles before embracing comedy in later years. He married 4 times and had 6 children, including one adopted granddaughter whom he raised as his own. Tragedy marked his twilight years, particularly after the death of his beloved wife Jo McCarthy in 2015. He passed away a year later in an assisted living facility in Idaho, having suffered from heart disease and a failing health condition that had gradually limited his mobility and independence. Though he died quietly, his body of work continues to speak in volumes, from war films and dramas to the unforgettable misadventures of Frank Drebin's right-hand man. O.J. Simpson, born 1947. O.J. Simpson played Detective Nordberg in all 3 films of the Naked Gun series, the original 1988, The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear 1991, and The Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult 1994. His character was a well-meaning but perpetually injured officer whose misfortunes, both physical and situational, provided recurring slapstick throughout the films. Often shown being comically battered, shot, or crushed in increasingly absurd ways, Simpson's role became a staple of the franchise's humor, with his deadpan delivery contrasted with the calamities his character endured. Born Orenthal James Simpson in San Francisco, he rose to fame first as a legendary NFL running back, winning the Heisman Trophy in 1968 and later achieving film and television success. Despite a promising entertainment career, Simpson's life would take a profoundly dark turn. In 1994, he was arrested and tried for the brutal murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. Though acquitted in a criminal court, he was found liable in a civil trial. His reputation never recovered, and in 2008, he was convicted of armed robbery and kidnapping in Las Vegas, serving 9 years in prison before his release in 2017. Simpson has 5 children, including 2 with Nicole. The murderer's trial and his subsequent incarceration deeply scarred the public's view of him and devastated his family. Now living in relative obscurity, his once celebrated life stands as a cautionary tale of fame, violence, and downfall, a stark contrast to the laughter he once brought to audiences. Susan Boian, born 1940. With a quiet grace and supportive presence, Susan Boian played Mrs. Wilma Nordberg, the devoted wife of O.J. Simpson's bumbling character, in The Naked Gun 1988. Her role, though limited in screen time, added a touch of emotional grounding to the farce, especially in scenes where she tearfully watched over her hospitalized husband, oblivious to the chaos Frank Drebin was causing around her. Her performance provided one of the few emotional notes in an otherwise madcap film, making her character memorable despite limited dialogue. Susan Boian's career spanned several decades, with appearances in both film and television, though she largely remained outside the spotlight. Her roles often leaned toward maternal or nurturing figures, which she portrayed with dignity and restraint. Information about her personal life remains scarce. She has kept a low profile over the years, and little is publicly known about her family, spouse, or children, if any. As of the latest available records, she is believed to be alive, though she appears to have retired from acting. Unlike many of her co-stars, Boian avoided scandal and controversy, choosing a path of privacy. Her life, largely absent from tabloid or headlines, stands in stark contrast to the tumultuous narrative of her on-screen husband, offering a quiet testament to the many working actors whose contributions are often overlooked, yet no less essential. Nicholas Worth, Singay Forthang Nai Nam 1937 Thai St. Louis, Missouri, Lai Moti Dien Vien Phu De Tao Nancy Marchand, born June 19, 1928, played the role of Mayor Lillian Barkley in The Naked Gun 2.5. The Smell of Fear, 1991, bringing her hallmark blend of dry wit and commanding presence to the satire's political stage. Already a seasoned performer by the time she took the role, Marchand portrayed the no-nonsense mayor who tries to navigate the absurd chaos unleashed by Frank Drebin. Her calm, sardonic delivery provided a stark contrast to the film's zany antics, grounding it in a mock reality that heightened the absurdity. Beyond The Naked Gun, Marchand enjoyed a distinguished career, particularly celebrated for her roles in television dramas. Her portrayal of Livia Soprano in The Sopranos earned her posthumous acclaim, as she passed away on June 18, 2000, just one day before her 72nd birthday. Struggling with lung cancer and emphysema, Marchand's health declined steadily in her final years, and yet she continued working almost to the end, a testament to her dedication to her craft. She was married to actor Paul Sperrer until his death in 1999, and the couple had 3 children. Her passing was deeply felt in the acting community, not just for the roles she played, but for the dignity and depth she brought to them, often portraying powerful women cloaked in sorrow, much like herself. Ray Berk, born May 27, 1943, took on the villainous role of Pop Schmear in The Naked Gun, 1988, and The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, 1991, a shadowy foreign operative whose deadly ambitions were continuously thwarted by the bumbling Frank Drebin. Berk's dryly menacing delivery made Pop Schmear a memorable antagonist, despite the brevity of his screen time. He infused the character with an understated sense of menace that harmonized perfectly with the series' parody of spy and police tropes. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Berk maintained a relatively low profile outside his film and TV roles, often appearing in character parts that added crucial texture to countless productions. While Berk is still alive, he has largely retreated from the public eye in recent years. His career, though not headlined by blockbusters, is marked by steady and versatile performances in shows such as Cheers, The Wonder Years, and Coach, where he left subtle but lasting impressions. Not much is publicly known about his personal family life, which he has kept private, but there has been no public record of a spouse or children. In his quietude, there's a sense of the artist who has stepped away from the stage, leaving behind roles that still ripple with life whenever the credits roll. His is not a story of tragic end, but one of graceful exit, fading not in failure, but in completion. What do you think about the deaths of the actors from A Naked Gun, and which one do you remember the most? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to watch the latest videos.